Hello folks, this is Smoke Master 420 coming back at you. This video is going to be totally unrelated to smoking. I'm just going to point that out right away. This is dealing with my part-time job on the weekends, focusing away from firefighting, EMS, whatnot. This is a job that I truly enjoy, have fun doing. As you may know, as I see in front of me, I have a blackjack table. Yes, I work in the gaming industry and I have been doing it for about 2 years now, going on 3. And I love it, and there's some days where I just feel like I just do not want to love it. So I'll explain that as we move along in this video. How I got in the gaming industry, I was really big into playing blackjack. I totally loved it. I would go out almost every weekend to the casino, and I often wondered, it'd actually be fun to work in a casino. And I asked them, so, you guys hiring, the property that I was playing at. I, wasn't a card counter. I don't know how to count cards, but we'll talk more about that as the video progresses. So how I like the game is I like to be interacting with people. I like to have a great old time visiting with people at the table. Sometimes, yes, you're going to have people that are not going to want to visit. I myself like to talk. I'm a big talker, so sometimes you have to read your players and, is it appropriate to be talking at the table? Especially in high stakes, when you're assigned to a high stakes area, you probably don't want to be chit-chatting with your customers because they're either very down on their luck or they just don't want to talk. They want to focus primarily on the game, which is fine and dandy. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, how I got started becoming a dealer is I went through a lot of, steps to become getting out on the floor, doing a live game. First of all, I started applying for the job. They came out and I did an interview, took a math test. They time you and they look and see, well, ace 7, what does that add to? 10, 20, blah, blah, blah. And they time you how many hands you were able to read without, stalling or whatever. And then you go through one interview, you go through a drug test, you go through all that. They go through a background, being that you're dealing with large sums of money. The important thing is that you must not have any felonies on your record or any misdemeanors or anything related to theft or anything like that. They will not hire you. Also, you need to be clean. You be taking a UA, all that. You got to have a clean record to work in the gaming industry. Another thing is after that, they say, okay, Jeffrey, you did this, you did this. Next, you are interviewed by the table games manager. You'll be sitting down, they'll discuss, well, what your hours, we have part-time, we have full-time, what would you prefer? Primarily, they start you off at part-time, which is not bad because I work, full-time as a firefighter and an EMT. So I work my blackjack job 16 hours on the weekend. So my shift, I start at 8 o'clock at night and work till 4 in the morning. But sometimes I primarily get out even later than that, depending on customers, sitting out on the table. And then maybe work till 8 o'clock in the morning till, the day shift comes in. So they have days, they have swing, they have graveyard. So I primarily work the graveyard shift, the 8 to 4. So when I get there, when I was hired, they assign you a uniform, kind of like this shirt is actually my shirt that I wear at the property that I deal now. They give you also a badge, kind of like this, and what you do is when you get your badge, you are issued a gaming license. You are required to have a gaming. That's kind of the reasons why you have to pass the background check. Check for theft, money laundering, all that. You go what is through it's called Title 31. You're required every year to renew that, and you take like a 15-minute class about counterfeit money. That's the things that we have to be aware of and watch and monitor out on the casino floor. So yes, you are issued a badge. This is where you swipe it in, you punch in, get into the building. I'm not going to put the badge on because I don't want to disclose the property that I'm working at, being that this is on a social media site. To protect the privacy of the casino that I work at and all that. And then what they do is they also issue you an apron. All dealers are required to wear an apron kind of like this. The reason of the apron is to prevent chip, what do you call them? proliferation. You know, you could go ahead and slip them into your pockets, but we are required to have non-pocket pants, like black pants, or to be sewn shut or glued shut, whatever the case may be. Some places where you're dealing with parties and stuff, they, you know, wear a dealer's visor, but we don't wear a dealer's visor. Being that I'm here at home, I'm gonna jazz it up a little bit. I'm gonna wear a visor just to kind of have a little fun with my video. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my apron on, get, you know, all uniformed up, and then we'll get started. Kind of explain. I'm not going to talk more about, well, I'll talk a little bit how the game is played, and we'll go along. It's kind of easier how I explain from step one. So when you get to your, you know, your shift, you look at the board, you come in and say, okay, Jeffrey, he's going to be at table 102, 108, 201. Okay, 201, they'll have each number coordinated by the pit number. So 102 would be pit 1, 201 would be pit 2, 304, blah, 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 or 405, pit 5. And sometimes our specialty games that we deal, which I will explain too about that, is they'll have a different number, but it'll be in the same pit. So you want to make sure you look at your surroundings and make sure you follow your dealer when you're doing your rotations, because our rotations, we do a 20-minute, 40-minute, and an hour rotation schedule, maybe sometimes an hour and 20 depending on staff reasons, staff availability. And then you look at your table, and one thing you want to do is you do not follow the table number, but when you get in, they'll have an arrow pointed to where you go, but you do not go back to that same table. You follow the dealer. Let's say you have Lisa, Kyle, you follow Lisa throughout the whole shift, unless the board is subject to change because they have people that are getting out early, or the rotations change because the tables are closing. Another thing is when you come on your shift, this is probably the only job that you ever be able to do this. It's called EO, which is early out. You hear that a lot in the casino world because the availability of customers, it flows. It could be busy, it could be dead, it can be just extremely busy. You come in and you sign your EO about 15 minutes prior to your shift start, prior to you punching in. So what you do is you sign it. It's based on who's up first. Let's say I'm on the top of the EO list, Lisa, Kyle, Terry, blah blah blah, Lauren. Then the pit boss will look at how many tables are closing, the hours. If dealers are up on their hours, you'll be bumped up to the EO, or you may be getting out early. So that's what the EO is, and it's kind of a benefit for you if you just feel like you're getting burnt out, you want to go home early, you're getting tired. You can sign the EO towards the end of the night too. Like let's say it's getting close to 2 o'clock and you haven't signed the EO and it's kind of busy out there and you kind of want to get out of there, you're getting kind of fed up with some people, you could still sign the EO. It's depending on properties. It's depending on each casino. So what we do is the games that I deal is 3-card poker, Texas Ultimate Hold'em, Trilux 21+3, free bet blackjack, and regular blackjack. That's what I do at my casino. In Minnesota, we do not have roulette, or we don't have craps, so I am not going to discuss craps and roulette in this video. So what we do is we get to our table, we get her ready, we get, we have a mat down the floor to help, ergonomics of our feet, because you're going to be standing 8 hours out of a given time, but you will be taking breaks, but still, you are going to be on your feet the whole probably 80-90% of the time. I would say more 90%. And then they give you a little step stool to put your legs up if you know your back's starting to help you. A little more better ergonomics on you because you're, the cards going, all that. So when you get to your table, look at your surroundings. Make sure your table's clean. Make sure you have cup holders, ashtrays. And I'm not going to have ashtrays here because I don't smoke in my apartment. I smoke it outside. Make sure everything looks good. Make sure, table's clean. If not, usually the pit boss will come out of the podium and take a brush to the table and make sure it's clean. Make sure your chairs are all straightened out, ready to, wait for your first customer or player. What we do is we deal on the weekends, we deal a 4-deck, 2-deck game. During the week, we have $3 tables where we deal 6-deck shoes. So where I'm going to focus primarily on is a 6-deck shoe. So they give you 4 packs of cards. Got to be the same color. And you want to check and inspect the integrity of the cards. Make sure that there's no, and they're not teared open. To make sure the seal is still intact. Make sure they're not used, because sometimes that can happen. So yeah, you are given 4 decks of cards, and then you get 2 cut cards. I don't have any with me, so I'm going to use 2 jokers out of these packs of cards. But before we begin, we open up the table. We have to open up our rack. So there is an inventory sheet in there. So the pit boss will come, take his keys, you open, make sure. One thing importantly is when you are dealing with the rack, you make sure you clear your hands before you even touch that. Why? Because you don't want to be caught thinking that you're going to be stealing chips. That's one of the reasons why we wear aprons. That's why we do these hand signals, if you ever wanted to know why we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and open my rack. I cleared my hands. My pit boss is standing over here to my right, so-called indivisible pit boss. So we'll go ahead and put the rack cover down. I don't have, usually it slides underneath the table, but I'm not at a casino, so it's a totally different world. So I have a fake inventory sheet here, so I'm just going to kind of role play. This is my money pen light, and I'll explain that in a minute. This is what I use for free bet blackjack. I'll explain that more in a minute. So what we do is we look at our rack and make sure that it matches the count that was counted the night we closed the table. So we start with the middle, which would be this one. I'm going to take it as a high stakes table. It's at 500 in the middle. So we count each stack consists of 20 chips. I'll put this over here. So we're going to count this out. This is a stack of 20. But normally some casinos where we just, read them off. But I'm going to go ahead and explain how we count our chips. So we count stacks of 25. That's 2,500. 25. So this is a little short here. So that's 5. Yeah, that's about right. Stacks of 4, so 2, 3, 4. I think I'm short. So it's stacks of 5 on 500. My bad. So what we do is we count these out right here. Then we kind of take our fingers and feather it out like that. So the camera knows what's going on, what we're doing down here, why the chips are out on the table. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, that's 5,000, that's $10,000 right there. So that's $10,000 in $500 chips. So I got another 5, another 10,000. So that's $20,000 right there. So I see 20,000 and 500, that's right. So basically you start from 500, go all the way down to your lowest denomination on your rack. Make sure all the inventory is right, and then if it's right, the pit boss will say, okay, you'll take the inventory sheet, take it to the podium, and then it's all good to go. So your rack is ready to count. And another important thing is make sure your tray is clean. Why is that? Because we want to make sure that the pit bosses, when they come around and do their counts every hour, they want to make sure that everything is in order so they have an accurate count of what's coming in and what's going in the drop. Some casinos will have pink chips. I don't have pink chips. I just have regular quarters for our blackjack pay. So I'll kind of explain that as well. So our rack is good to go. We're ready to ready to get the game started. So we don't have any players at the table yet. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and get the cards out on the table. And when we open up our cards, we inspect them. Make sure that all the jokers are stripped from the deck, like that, and just put them out on the table like that. And I will use those as my cut cards since I don't have any cut cards. So what we do when we inspect our cards, first of all, we go ahead and we fan the cards out just like this. Depending on, you know, like that. Nice, good fan out on the table. Now these cards are kind of, they're used, so they're not going to be as smooth as a normal pack of cards. So we'll go ahead and take out the rest of the cards, make sure the jokers are not there. There's one, and then there's the other one. So I put my cards out like this, put the jokers back in the box. Okay, next there. And the other cards, make sure everything is, jokers are stripped from this deck as well. So we strip the jokers is what we call it. Looks like this one's out of order. Doesn't really matter. So, see, that's one thing you see when you open up your cards, because you want to see, make sure that, you know, we start with the Ace of Spades should be the top cards on the deck. But, you know, we have, who does our cards is our coat check people. They back and notice these cards, I'll kind of explain before too, and if you notice they're kind of curved. Why is that? That prevents from the cards getting out on the floor if they've been used and they get back out on the floor, so people don't add any extra cards into the deck. That's one important thing that we watch too, is integrity of the game is a very big thing about dealing blackjack. So, okay, we are going to go ahead and inspect our cards, inspect our decks. So I start right here, I go like this, make sure there isn't any blemishes or any hiccups on the cards or anything marked or any daubings, to make sure that nobody has tampered with the deck. So I go ahead and go like this, pick up the cards, and then I flip the deck around, go this way. And I go ahead and I also check this side of the cards as well. Just kind of a smooth thing like that. Make sure those cards look good. So the pit bosses will be watching you when you're doing your opening, your open. It's called the open shuffle. They want to make sure that it's being done by procedure, because surveillance does watch you when you're doing this to make sure that it is with the accordance with the compact tribal, you know, gaming laws that they require. So I have all my cards fanned out, my first deck. I make sure that all the cards are there, and I say go all the way. And so, for instance, if I fan this out and I see, okay, let's scenario here. I look and I'm like, there's something missing here. So I call over my pit. I have a 7 of clubs missing from my deck. That must be a defective deck. So what they do is they'll go ahead and maybe notify surveillance, let them know what's going on, and then maybe burn these deck and then give you a new pack of cards, because sometimes you will get defective cards in your open shuffle. So those cards are all there. So I'm going to go ahead and gather these up like that real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and inspect my other cards. So, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Those look good. So it's kind of a repeated process. So, make sure that your cards are good. And another thing is, if you noticed, as I did this, I'll do this again, might not have caught that. So if I'm inspecting my cards, I'm going to start from here, and then I get all the way up to this spot, and I stop right here, and then I go with my left hand and go like this. Why is that? That's protecting my rack right here in front of me. Because if I'm going like this with one hand, Joe Blow over here, and I'm not paying attention, he can drop right in betray and help himself to some chips. So that is basically, you are protecting the assets of the casino at all times. And one thing when you do is you never, ever, ever turn your back to a table when you have players on the table, or even when you're standing dead at a table. For instance, I turn around and say, hey Kyle, how was work last week? Was it dead? That's a big no-no. That's a good way of getting yourself fired or written up. Because surveillance sees that, and you walk up to the table and this guy goes in here and grabs $500 or whatever, it's either your job or you may be responsible for paying those chips back that was taken. But more than likely, security will catch the guy, and that's done from there. So I got these cards sit out on the table. So let's say I fanned all my cards, I inspect them. So what we do is when we have no players on the table, we fan all 4 decks, make it look pretty. So we're gonna make it look pretty here. So what I do is I usually start from the top up here, and I fan my cards all the way up to my little card sensor. I don't have a card reader on my table, being that this is a table given to me from another property that I worked at. So that, and then I'm going to go ahead and, middle on a 4-deck game, we do it like this. It's how I was taught at a property that I worked at. So, kind of like that. And I kind of center that more, made it look pretty. Okay, it's good. So go ahead and you get your shoe ready. You stand here and you wait for a player to come to the table. Wait for a player to buy in. So let's say Joe Blow's coming up to the table and he says, well, how's it going today, Jeffrey? I said, well, it's going good. How are you doing? Would you like to play some blackjack? He said, sure. Let's get it going. I said, okay. So what we do, got a player at the table. I'm going to go ahead and get the cards ready to go. And what we do is we wash the cards. What that is we do the opening shuffle. And this only happens once when you open a table. And then I'll explain further. So when we wash the table, I usually put my card right in the middle, where I go like this. Kind of like that, and then I go ahead in my hands and I just spread them amongst the table like this. Again, these cards are not going to be as smooth as they are as they come new, because remember, these are used cards, so they are going to be a little bit sticky. So we gotta live with that. And then the pit will come and take the cards, and then they'll verify the inventory of the cards. So that's all the red tape behind that. So I'm going to go ahead, and what they will do is when you go through training, you're going to learn how to shuffle. What I was taught to shuffle, got all my cards washed, my first deck washed, is I got a pack of cards right here. Okay? Very simple. You want to take half of your deck, you want to have 26 on each side. Let's see, I'm going to count and see how much I got here. Let's see how accurate I was. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. I'll be down. So I got 26, I got half and half. I got half the deck. This. And what we do is we do a box shuffle. So we want to go ahead and have our hands like at a letter A. So we want to get these all together like this at an angle. And then you want to slowly lift up without bending the cards, because you do not want to bend the cards. Up like that, and then you go ahead and fold them in like this. And then when we do an opening shuffle, we want to do that 4 times, being that as a 4 deck. So we riffle the ship, it's called riffling, or shuffle, then we riffle, okay? 3, and then 4. Now we do not shuffle. We do not go pew, pew, pew. We go ahead and put this, I was trained to do this. We go put that in the rack, or in our discard rack, and we go ahead and wash the other deck. So all 4 decks have to be washed. So as you're washing your cards, you ask the customer, you have a player's card with you today. The player's cards are comp cards that they get, when they play, when they buy in. And each point, their points are rated on how much they, bet. It's not how much they spend, it's how much their average bet is. And they're awarded, drawings, blah, 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 concert tickets, depending on each property. So I go ahead and do this 4 times. I think this is riffling, I do believe. I think this is riffling. They call it riffle, and you do strip. You know, I'm not stripping yet, so I think I did that more than once. But anyhow, it's 4 times. And then if you got other players coming to the table too, you want to keep an eye out. Look and see how much money they're buying in for. You know, I'll explain that kindly here in a second here. And you just kind of converse with your customers. Have a good time. Make sure they're welcome. Make sure they feel like home. Ask them if there's anything you need. Introduce yourself. Say, hi, I'm Jeffrey. I'll be your dealer for the next hour. And we're here to win some money today. So, and say, what brings you here? Where are you from? And, you know, we get people from all walks of life. Very diverse casino I work with. And I really like it. I have some of my regular customers that enjoy playing with me. I have quite a few. And also you're going to have customers that totally hate dealing with you. They don't like you. They want to have a specific person. They just don't like your personality. You know, sometimes that's going to happen, and don't take that too seriously. In this business, you have to have thick skin. Very, very thick skin. You're going to have players that are going to yell and scream at you. They're going to dispute the table. They're going to be coming up to your table screaming and drinking all night. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on when you're dealing. So now this last deck, what we do on this one, I do 4 times a riffle. And then what I go ahead and do, what we do is we strip the deck like this. So we take your card and go like this 4 times, or whatever. You can do anywhere between 4 and 8 depending on how you feel. If you think the cards are not going well, I'll kind of explain that as well. So we got that all done. So we go here and we go to our discard rack and we go ahead and plug the deck. So we start from the top, up, middle, and bottom. Just like that. Now we go ahead and we take our cut card, which will be our 2 jokers. And then we go ahead and we take our deck that we did and we're going to shuffle. I'm going to split this in half. Got a half like this, and we go ahead and go like this. On your left hand side, which will be over here, is we go ahead and we take the deck and we break it down into 3s. We start from here, work our way to the back, and move right there, and then we go ahead and go like this. And now we go ahead and we do a shuffle like we normally do after the cut card comes out. So we go ahead and go like this. Make sure you're not bending the cards, and then we riffle, strip, and then riffle, and shuffle. That. Fairly simple. And it takes a lot of practice to shuffle. And it took me a while. But when you're dealing with a new box of cards, it makes it a lot more smoother. So we got Joe Blow and Mary Lou over here on my table. So they're going to buy in. Let's say Joe Blow's got $100 here. And it's a $5 table. So you want to make sure also, and when you get to your tables, you want to check to make sure what, the table minimum is. And some of our tables are anywhere from $5 up to $100, $10 up to $200, $15 up to $150. High stakes will be $15 to $150. That will be a double deck. Then you have a $25 table that will go all the way up to $500, and then so forth. So I go ahead and I have the cards ready to go. I'm going to take my shoe, because the reason why I take my shoe over here is I want to protect the rack. And I want to make sure that Joe Blow over here is not going to go ahead and dig in the tray as I'm getting the cards ready to be cut. So I go ahead and I offer the cut card to Joe Blow. He's going to take this out of his hand. He's going to cut the deck like that. And I'm going to go here and proceed to go over here, and then I'm going to take that there, and then go ahead and cut it like that. And what we do, put it in our shoe, nice and slow, evenly like this. And then what the dealer does is he goes ahead and what's called, we burn a card. What does that mean? We burn the card, we take one card out of the shoe, and we put it in the discard rack, and the game is ready to go. Why we burn a card? That's because that prevents cheating, or prevents card counting. But you never, ever expose the burn card unless the player asks. You know, sometimes the player will say, "Can I see the burn card?" If they ask for the burn card, you call the pit over and say, or you yell out, "Burn card," and they'll say yes, or they will say no, because we will have advantage players on the table. So we go ahead and we burn the card. Again, never expose the card unless somebody asks. But if you do, sometimes that's okay. I mean, make sure. You know, so, okay, we got the table ready to go, ready for the game to be opened up. So Joe Blow's got $100 in cash right here. Let's say this is $100. This is $100. I don't have any money on me. Broke, you know. So he comes in, he takes in the 100. I say, okay, 100. Okay, what I do is I check the money. It's all good. Good to go. Joe, what would you like today? Would you like nickels or quarters? He says, I'll take nickels. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and clear our hands and take 100. Usually stack of 20. Stack of $20, $5 chips. And we break it down. Just like this, in fives. And we smooth it out, and then we feather it out, and then we alter the pit. Always importantly, anything over $100 transaction, you have to have a pit approval all the time. No ifs, ands, or buts. And you got to get an acknowledgement from them too. You can't just say changing 100 and give it to the player, because we've had dealers that have paid out customers more than they should, or bought in customers more than they should have. Don't know. So you go ahead and changing $100, kind of like that, and they'll say okay. And on a player's card, so you make sure you tell them, okay, you got Joe Blow's player's card. They'll come here and set it right here, and they'll go ahead and mark it. So we go ahead and go like this, and we say good luck to you, Joe. And then we take our money, put it in the drop. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention. Anytime you got $100, you put a mark on there. What that means is you got a green chip, that would be $100. And then $50, $10, and this would be $500. So what we do is we put our money, any money that goes into our drop has to be counted for. So how does the pit boss count it for? So with that being said, is when I put he buys in for $100, I put my green chip on top of that, and then after the transaction has been made, I take that down here, and then I take my 100 and I put it in the drop. Okay, so I have Mary Lou over here. She wants to buy in for $50. Okay, blah, blah, blah. $50 bill. Put that right on top of there. You check it for possible counterfeit. And then you go ahead and get your $50 out. Like that. Feather that out. You do not, on this one, you do not need pit approval. Anything, like I said, less than $100, let's say Joe Blow buys in for $95. No need to call a pit. Got to keep the game moving. There you go, and then give that to Mary Lou. And then we put this in the drop. And then the pits will come by every hour upon the hour, and they'll count it, and they'll say, well, you could put your drop away. I was like, okay, so I'll put it away in there, so forth. So I always like to make sure that my tray is clean, then I get ready to deal the game. So we're ready to go. Well, everybody go ahead and place your bets. So what I do is wait for the players to put their chips out on the table. So make sure they are away from the betting circle. So what I do is once I always scan the table, because sometimes you're going to have stragglers that think, oh, I want to add more. Make sure they are not capping their bets. So once I do this. Once my hand comes across this, that means these chips are the sole provider of the casino. They cannot touch them, they cannot add anything to them, they cannot take it away. So we'll go ahead and deal the first hand. So I'm going to go ahead like this. I'm going to take the first card out of the shoe. I'll say good luck, everybody. And go ahead and deal the hand. So go ahead and deal my first hand. Cards like that. And then I take my whole card. So go up like this. I am showing an ace. So prime example of that one. So anytime you show an ace, you take it and tilt it to the side. You go to everybody on the table, and they're going to want to take insurance. What that is, insurance is. Okay, Joel's got $20 right here. He wants to insure his bet. He's going to take half of what he bet, put it right here on the line. She's going to bet what she wants. She's going to do $5. So let's say they all want to insure. What we do is insurance is out there and nobody else wants insurance. I go, insurance is closed. I go ahead and put it on the table, and then I check to see if I have blackjack. I don't have blackjack, so I go ahead and take the insurance bets and put them in the tray. At the casino, we have what is called a card reader, so I don't have that right here, so I have to do the old school way. So, being that there's no insurance, so the game continues. I'm going to go here with Joe Blow, and I say, you have a 13. What would you like to do? If they want to take a hit, they're going to have to go like this, or if they want to stay, they're going to have to go like this. Hand signals are a must in the game. You can't just say, I want to stay. No. People upstairs are going to need to know what's going on. So nonverbal communication is a big thing with blackjack or with table games. So he's going to take a hit, so he's going to go ahead and pull that out of the shoe. He had busted the hand. So what that means is he lost the hand. So before, what you do is you go ahead and you take your losing bet, and then you put it in the tray. Always take your losing chips first before you take the cards and put them in the discard rack. Why? Say he lost that bet, and all of a sudden I take the cards and he grabs, $10 off that. Always make sure that you take your losing hand first before you take your turn card. So he has a 17. He's going to want to stay on that. So he'll wave it off. So I'm going to go ahead and play my hand. So we go ahead. I got a 4 or 14, and then I have 18, and then that's the end of the game. He lost the hand. So you take everything back in order. So let's say there was a dispute on the table. I said, well, I thought I had 17, or had 18 too. Okay, so I called the pit over. Mary Lou said that she had 18 and I took her bet. Okay, let's pull the cards out. So what we're going to head and do is I'm going to start with my cards first. Okay, just like it was in order. We're kind of rewinding what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here. So right there is where I'm going to stop, because he already had lost his hand. So you do not need to go through the whole process. So I look and I said, well, I'm sorry, Mary Lou, you have 17 there, I have 18, so the hand does lose. So then we go ahead and pick up the cards, and then you burn them, and you proceed to go to your next hand. So we're going to go ahead and deal another hand out. So let's say if Joe wanted to play 2 hands, which is fine and dandy. He has to, okay, it's a $5 table. Okay, he's got $5 here. So if he wanted to play, say, Jeffrey, I want to play 2 hands. And I said, okay, so he's going to have to double up $10 on each hand to play that. So he's going to play 2 hands, Mary's going to play 1. So I'm going to go ahead and deal out the hand. $17, $19, $12, and then I show a 4. So I go ahead and start over here to my left. 17, 19, and you have a 12. What would you like to do? In this case, I have showing a 4. You always want to suggest the hands to your player. You do not want to tell your player how to play their hand. Why? Because things can turn into bad advice in a hurry. We always like to give good advice. Sometimes it can turn into bad advice. So I have a 12 here, Mary. I have a 4. So I show that I may have a bust card. I have to take a card anywhere that's going to go over 17 or better to make my hand. So Mary, my suggestion to you is I want to let you have me take the cards and not you, because you have a 12, I have a bus card. Okay, so she's going to stay on that. I'm going to go ahead and play my hand. I have a 9 and then a 19. So fortunately, that hand loses. That one is a 19. That one is called a push. So that one is also a losing hand. I'm sorry, I'm on the fire department, so pager went off. Just 1 second. Not me, so we'll continue. So, okay, so Mary's gonna go all in on this hand, and Joe Blow decided, no, I'm not gonna play another hand, so which is fine and dandy. He can do whatever he wants. So we're pretty liberal at the casino that I work at, so I'm gonna go ahead and sweep my hand across the table and deal another hand. Okay, no blackjack, so the game continues. Like I said, every time you dip into the tray or fix it, you must clear your hands. A very important habit to get into. So you have 14 here, and then you have 17. Okay, here's an 11. Okay, Mary Lou has no money left, so she would probably want to double that. So she's going to buy in for another 50. So, okay, $50 cash. And you can do that right in the middle of your game. So you have 50, check your money. It's good. Make sure you feather it out so the camera knows how much the customer is buying in for. Give it right here and wish her the best of luck on that double one. So you put your drop in here and take your money and put it in the drop. So, is okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. She got 25 there, so she's going to go ahead and do. She wants to double down, so she's going to go ahead and slip that right behind that. And what I do is I feel to make sure there's no overage or underage under. I mean, they can double for less, but I always like to ask you, you can bet for the equal amount. And so I'm going to go ahead and give her a card, 14. I'm going to flip hand over, 19. So, and I put my chips back in the tray. So yes, the hands, always want to be kind of empathetic with your players if they're losing a lot of money. I'm sorry, thanks for trying. That's all you can do. You can't say to the player, well, you should have hit on that. You shouldn't. I don't know why you didn't hit on that. Don't do that. You can get yourself in trouble. So one thing I would also like to point out is dealing with customers at the table who are somewhat rude or using foul language or just totally being rude. One thing you want to do is you want to be really calm about it. You want to remain a professional attitude. You don't want to get cocky with them because they may be having a bad day. We all have our bad days. Or they're just intoxicated, and there's really not much a person can do about it as long as the game is moving smoothly, and also as long as the player is not dealing it directly towards you. If they're saying F you and F this and that, you're going to give them 3 warnings. After the 3rd time, I said, sorry sir, I have addressed you 3 times about saying that at my table. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, or I'm going to have my pit boss come over here. And yes, it can get heated. So if that point is, they will call the eye in the sky, and they'll also call security to deal with that individual. So basically, you just deal your cards and deal with it. You're also going to have people come to the table. They're going to sit on their phone and play with it. We do not allow cell phones at the table. I'll just say, well, Joe, I'm sorry, you got to put your phone away at the table. You got to be 6 feet from the table. That's all you gotta ask. You can't say, well, put that phone away. You just gotta be in a calm, professional. As far as smoking at the table, it is allowed. Native American casinos do allow smoking in the casino. I politely ask my customers, you can smoke at the table as long as you don't blow it into my face. Sometimes you will get intoxicated people that will do that. So, you know, you're going to have loud customers, they're going to be screaming, they're going to have a good time. Just go with it. If the screaming gets a little too loud, I know I had one, it was a couple weeks ago. Every hand, he was like, out the door, you know. I'm like, you know, I'm sorry, sir, just, you're having a good time, I understand, but just try and keep it down a little bit. That's all you got to do. And, you know, and they will get pissed off about it. He did. He said, well, then I don't want to deal with you. I'm going to color up. I said, okay, well, that's fine. There's other tables out there. I said, well, I wish you the best of luck, and thanks for playing at my table, and come back soon. You know, that's all you got to do. You got to let the stuff go in one ear and out the other. Because, like I said, you're dealing with a vast variety of different people. Very different, diverse people. So, what I'm going to do is explain fills on a table, okay? We kind of dealt the game a little bit. We can put this, you are going to have to the point of filling chips on the table. So let's say you are out $10,000, let's say, okay? What the security man will do is they'll come in with a box, and they'll have the chips in there all locked up. And Pip Boss will call in to verify that I've got $10,000 coming to table 4. So what you do is you have your log sheet, whatever, you know, your inventory sheet, you look at that, and the log sheet is here. So let's say they put this out on the table and you get your pen right here. So what you do is you put your biggest denomination towards you. So you start with $2.50, $1, $1, $2.50, $5, $25, $100, blah, blah, blah. So you start here and you verify that I have $10,000 of chips. Fan that out and you look at your inventory slip. Yep. Before you sign that paper, put this in here. That, and then clear your hands, and then you write your name down, your employee number, and then one goes to security, goes back to the cage or whatever, and then, or the vault, and then you put your thing in and say thank you, and then you're ready to deal your hands again. So basically, it is a fun game, very fun game to play or deal, but you are going to deal with a lot of different, diverse people. So I think that's kind of the basic overview. Well, actually, I'm going to explain to you how we close a table. As a matter of fact, close this table since I'm done. So all the customers are gone. I'm going to sit here and say, okay, I'm going to put the chairs away, you know, get them ready, and make sure my ashes are off the table with a brush. I don't have a brush, so I will go ahead and what we do if the shoe stands over, like, let's say 5 minutes or more, I call the pit, say, can I fan my cars? I say, sure, go ahead, fan your cars. And so you fan them all, just all the way down here, like that. So let's say we're going to fan the cars. Let's do that. Kind of get a feel of how you take your cut cards out. So I'll make sure my cut card is out. Jokers around here something. So I mean, there it is. So I would have like a yellow cut card. So I go ahead and put this on the discard tray or discard rack, and then I go ahead and fan my cards out just like this, from left to right. It doesn't have to really be pretty, but I like to make it pretty. I'm picky about that. Makes it look good for the casino. Makes it look good out on the floor. Like that. So, okay. Now the table's been standing for quite a while. It's starting to get slow. We're going to go ahead and close this table. So, he'll say, Pitt will come up and he'll call I and Sky and say, well, we're closing table 4 with Jeffrey. So, I'll say, take the cards. Put them here. Put your cut cards in here. Put it in your have a little drawer over here, so I'll put it over here to the side at the point. So he'll go ahead and take the cards. What they do is, if you notice there's blotches on here, they take a black magic marker, they make a big X on here, and they take the cards off the floor. And then they put a rubber band around them, and then they put them in a box, and then they go somewhere to be put back in order, and they go to the gift shop, and they get sold. So that's pretty much where the cards go from there. So what we do is when we close the table, he'll come up with the clipboard, he'll come up with the inventory slip. We go ahead and he said, what do you got in the drop? Oh, I got $200. So you put your drop away, make sure your chips are in order, and you also want to cap your chips up, all your $20 racks or whatever, and then put that, cap that, make sure that's all in order. So we start with the middle, work our way to all that. So I got 10 here, 20,000. I got 500. No, that's 2,000, 3,000. No, that's 1,000, 2,000. Yeah, 1,000, 2,000. And then I got 500. That's put it in 500 increments. So you basically kind of do reverse when you open up or close a table. You count how much you have in the rack at the beginning, and then you count what you have at the end of the night. So if the next person opens up the table, will have the same amount. So some casinos, what they do is they sometimes will put chips out on the table when they count. So basically that's all counted, everything's added up. You put your slip in here, take your cover, and put it in, oops, put it the wrong way. And you always want to make sure that this thing is locked. Pit boss locks it, go ahead and lift it up, okay, it's tight. Because there was one day I came in and opened up a table. All of a sudden I came to the table and went like this, and I said, "Ooh, this thing's open." And I said, "Did you open up this already?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, this cover is loose. It's unlocked." Okay, that'll happen. So I always want to make sure that this is locked, because it could be your butt, because your name is signed on that sheet that you inspected the chips and you counted them all, everything's verified, and everything's good to go for the next person to open up that table. So then what you do is, once the table is done, you take your stool and you put your mat, push it back, take your chairs and push them up against the table, and you go back to the pit office and say, "Well, I closed table 4. Where do I go next?" "Well, Jeffrey, you can go home." Like, okay, you're on the EO, so you're done, you know. Whereas sometimes you'll be able to replace another dealer that's going to be going home before you. So that kind of explains how I deal blackjack in general. I wasn't going to go over basic strategy or anything like that. I just kind of showed you what I deal in any given 8-hour shift dealing the game. I might just do a little bit of a basic strategy video, a little short and sweet. But I thank you for watching this video. I hope this will kind of give you an insight. If you're ever interested in, wanting to become a dealer, go ahead and go to your local casino website. I'm sure they're looking for dealers all the time. Most importantly, it's a fun, easy way of making money as a second area income. But you make good money doing it, and you have also a good time doing it. So you basically get paid playing games. So again, this is Smokemaster 420. I am going to go outside and have a cigarette right now, since I went through this for the last hour. So I hope you enjoy this video. Again, please share, like, and subscribe, and most importantly,